And next we have Aman. She is going to discuss how they used media technologies in the construction and research, planning and evaluation stages. Well, before researching for our trailer, we discussed and used Google to help us investigate different genres that we could use. We also predominantly use YouTube for research as it has so many trailers for us to choose from, and it's an easy way to analyze films. We ended up choosing a hybrid of genres, which were psychological, thriller, action, and romance. During research, we used various platforms and technologies to investigate the genre of the idea we had in mind. So to find research material, we used IMDb to look at films of similar genres. We then came across Gone, Black Swan, Obsessed, Disturbia, and Django Unchained. All different, but they still had features in common. Obsessed and Django Unchained both have action sequences which are well directed, and Gone, Black Swan, Obsessed, and Disturbia are all thrillers. Obsessed, Black Swan, and Disturbia additionally have psychological thriller elements and romantic aspects to them. The most useful media platform to investigate these trailers was YouTube and YouTube to MP4 converter for viewing, downloading, and uploading videos. We used it to download idents for film production and distribution companies to place at the start of our trailer, and we used it to upload our own media product, which was the trailer. Could you explain to us more about IMDb? IMDb actually helped with researching into the production of films and directors and actors. It gave us many different lists which displayed the best movies of each genre. For example, the list of best thriller films featured the films with the highest number of stars within the genre. So Gone Girl was at the top with 8.4 stars, followed by The Imitation Game with 8.4 again, and The Nightcrawler at 8.2. These are newer releases and weren't taken into consideration when researching, as they didn't release before the summer, which is when our planning and research began. Also, during the planning stages, we devised an audience feedback questionnaire on a site called SurveyMonkey, and we offered it to people via school email, our classmates, and on Twitter to widen our audience. And what about the production process? For our trailer, during production, we decided not to use a school camera or a flip camera. Firstly, the quality of the flip cameras are terrible, and we wanted to achieve a more professional appearance, so we used an Olympus camera. It was actually just a regular digital camera, however the picture quality was very good, and to make our film appear more professional and steady, we used a tripod for almost all of the shots. When shooting the photos for the magazine and poster, we used the school cameras which have good enough quality for a professional photo shoot. When editing the trailer, we used Final Cut Pro. Sorry, could you please explain to the listeners what Final Cut Pro is? Final Cut Pro is an editing software which all members of the team were extremely familiar in, as we have all done media for many years. Therefore, editing was fairly simple and straightforward once we had the shots we were using prepared. We had to use the camera and tripod in various different ways. For example, when we filmed the shots of the lake, we panned across the set slowly and we added a sepia effect in editing to make it look more rustic. This was to convey that it was set in the past. We added the sepia effect over the rest of the opening as well and made many of the shots slow motion so that the start was overly romanticized and so that it had an impact on the audience so that they would feel sorry for the antagonist, who appears as the protagonist at the start. The intertitles we used were inspired by Obsessed. The font, Trajan Pro, was similar to the font used in that. It was very skinny and sleek looking, and it also looked quite sophisticated and ghostly, which reflected the conventions of our trailer. This font wasn't already installed in the Macs, and so it wasn't difficult to find. Unlike for the magazine, when we had to find a different font through a website, and we researched the one used on Empire magazine for the title. We found a similar one called Primetime. The magazine and poster were edited on Photoshop though. Alright, and what did that require you to do? The Photoshop process was very tiring and tedious. It required us having to add many different layers, different texts and fonts, and different images had to be used. Furthermore, certain measures were meant to exaggerate the colour of the eyes of the title character. We made our eyes green by first duplicating the image of our title character. We then proceeded to erase the first image's eyes and added paintbrush effects to our eyes with soft edges. Once we were happy with the colour, we merged the two layers and ended up with a more piercing green eye effect. This relates to the poster of the woman in black, as it shows the woman in a black cloak with her face covered, but in the film she is never shown with a black cloak. This added mystery and captivated the audience, as she is a very beautiful woman with a very striking feature. Thank you so much.